Welcome to Website and TV. I'm joined today by Joost de Valk, who's going to help give us a few insights about the Dutch market. So,
That's right.
Hi Joost.
Hi.
So, the Netherlands is a pretty small country.
Yes.
But it's also a very mature market when it comes to the internet and comes to behaviour. So what should people be aware of if they're thinking to target that market?
Well, it really depends what kind of product you sell. But especially for a lot of high-end B2B type products, you're probably just as well off targeting them in English as in Dutch, because most of us speak English pretty well, and we actually search in English too. So we don't, unlike the Belgians who speak Flemish, which is Dutch but slightly different, we don't tend to translate many things. So we keep a lot of stuff in English. Mm-hmm. So in the B2B market, a lot of it, you can just keep English and you're fine. Yeah. And even your landing pages could be in English and you probably wouldn't be hurt that much.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to know. If you're going a bit more down market to consumers, then you need to do Dutch, which is a hard language. And it really, well, it's a market like many others, but people are used to the things that I think most Anglo-Saxon and Scandinavian countries are used to. Pretty high internet speeds, so up to ridiculous internet speeds, so you can do quite cool things.
Yeah. Okay. So they would expect Dutch users expect fairly high quality when it comes to the products, but also the internet experience that they're going to have.
Yeah, I think the average connection is like a 40 megabit connection, so it's like that. There are entire countries in Asia that don't have that. But
yeah.
But yeah, no. So people would expect quite high quality stuff. A lot of the Dutch companies that people know across the world already do like large campaigns on the internet too. So Unilever is part English, part Dutch. We're used to companies like that. We're used to that quality of control and in branding and messaging and in pretty good websites. Yeah.
And e-commerce then in the country is fairly well developed. Yeah. People are very happy to buy online, and
they're usually very happy to buy online. We have a payment system called Ideal, which is, as far as I've encountered, and I do a lot of e-commerce myself, of course, one of the better ones on the web. So people are fairly.
Is that like a PayPal kind of?
No, so it's actually a direct bank transaction that you're doing. So there's no in between, so it goes directly from their bank to yours, and they have to type in a few codes into a small thing that they all have at home. Yeah. People are very used to using that and don't like paying with credit cards as much. And the funny thing is, it's a heck of a lot cheaper, and there's no easy way to get refunds. So it's actually, for a merchant, it's a very safe way of getting paid.
Yeah.
And a lot of people use it, so it's probably, if you're going for the Dutch market and you're going to do a lot of e-commerce, you really need to implement that.
And what about from a kind of cross-border perspective? I guess because again it's not a huge country, they probably are quite happy and used to looking elsewhere to buy products. Which countries, are the most popular?
You'd be surprised at how much we have ourselves, even though it is such a small country, but that's because people buy a lot online. So people do buy stuff from, for instance, Amazon.de, who deliver to the Netherlands almost...
As if it's a local market.
Yeah, as if it's a local market, because it is. I mean, we are pseudo-Germany.
Yeah.
Don't tell Dutch people.
No.
But we're closer by a lot of Amazon fulfillment centers than large parts of Germany. At the same time, we have bol.com, which is a very big e-commerce site, which does a lot of stuff. And we have a couple of other pretty big e-commerce players. So most of it is actually local.
So are they marketplaces like bol.com? Is that something that a British or German or retailer could it
operates
through?
Yeah, it operates in pretty much the same system as Amazon these days. Yeah, so you can just set up your shop on bol.com and they'll take care of everything, which for a lot of people could be a very useful method.
And when it comes to social media, how does that play out in the country? How social are Dutch users?
There's a lot of Facebook. There's some Twitter, but only in specific niches. So on the technical side and on the political side, you have a lot of people on Twitter. But outside of that, it's mostly Facebook for the slightly older people, and well, it's just like the rest of the world, really.
Yeah.
It's apparently a lot of Snapchat, but I'm too old for that.
Yeah, me too. No idea about that.
Yeah, no. I've got a couple of colleagues who use that, and it's funny, you just see them, like they're 23, 24, and that's like the exact age where they stop using Snapchat and they move to Facebook. So from my perspective, I think most of the social stuff happening in Holland is on Facebook.
So that's definitely the place to start for businesses
absolutely.
trying to.
Yeah.
And are there any other cultural factors that are very specific to Dutch people that maybe you need to take into account if you're targeting that market?
It's I don't think it's very different from Germany or the UK. We're as a people probably slightly less privacy minded than Germany is.
Yeah.
So whereas in Germany privacy is always a hot topic,
Yeah.
it's not so much, unfortunately, in Holland. And there's not really. Usually the Dutch are quite proud of being able to speak a lot of languages.
Yeah.
So that's why targeting them in English actually
Almost is a bit of...
it doesn't really hurt. It's not like stuff from abroad is scary. We're used to that. We're used to getting stuff that is not in Dutch, but it depends on your market.
But that makes it then actually quite an appealing market maybe for UK businesses, for example, US businesses, German, that they can actually relatively easily get a foot in the water at least and test whether you've got a market there in the first place.
It's also, I mean, it is quite competitive. There's a lot of AdWords spend going on. I think almost 17 million Dutch people now. Average spend on AdWords was up to the same heights as in the UK for years, and now it's like there's a 300 million or so gap. But that still is a very small gap if you consider there's only 70 million of us. So it's a very mature and competitive market.
But with lots of opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. If you have stuff that people find cool, then you can sell an awful lot of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
Really interesting.